Welcome to Parent ADHD, where we say the quiet parts out loud about raising a child with ADHD. I'm Lola, a mom raising a son with ADHD, and this is a space for tired moms who are still showing up with love, even on the hard days. I'm really glad you're here. Today, we're kicking off something I've been wanting to build for a while, the Prepared Advocate series. For the next few weeks, we're going to talk about how to walk into conversations with schools, doctors, and specialists and actually feel like you belong there. And today I want to start with a thing that stops a lot of us before we even say a word. The idea that you have to become an expert before you're allowed to speak up for your child. Let's get into it. So picture this. A meeting gets scheduled. Maybe it's with the school, maybe it's with a doctor or a specialist. And from the moment you get that email or that phone call, something shifts inside you. You start searching things online. It's midnight and you have 10 tabs open. You find a term you don't know, so you look that up. And now you're reading about something completely different and you're more confused than when you started. You print out an article, look at it, decide it sounds too complicated, and put it in a pile. You keep searching because somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a voice saying, the people in that room are going to know more than you. And if you walk in without knowing enough, they won't take you seriously. I have been exactly there, more than once. And here's what I want you to know today. That pressure you feel is real. It makes complete sense. And it's also built on something that isn't true. Here's what I mean. The teachers, the doctors, the specialists, they carry real knowledge. A teacher who has watched your child in a classroom full of other kids all day, through every transition, she sees things you don't see. A specialist who has worked with dozens of families going through the same things you're going through, she has experience that took years to build. That knowledge matters. You want it in the room. Your knowledge covers something different. You know what your child looks like at 6:30 in the morning when they have to go from asleep to dressed and out the door in 45 minutes. You know the difference between the quiet that means your child is okay and the quiet that means something is about to happen. You know which kind of day it's been just by watching them walk through the front door. You know what was happening 2 days before the meltdown the teacher put in her notes. No test picks that up. No 30-minute appointment finds it. You know it because you live with your child through the whole day, the messy parts, the in-between parts, the parts nobody else sees. That's not small. That's actually the piece the room is missing without you. So why doesn't it feel that way when you're sitting at that table? Part of it is just how those rooms are set up. There's a table, people have folders and job titles, someone is typing notes. Everything about the setup says some people are here to give information and some people are here to receive it. And when you're the only one without a title, it's easy to tell yourself you're in the receiving group. Part of it is also something specific to ADHD, and I felt this so much with my son. ADHD hides. Your child might hold it together all day at school and then come home and fall apart before they even get their shoes off. The child a teacher describes in a meeting can sound like a completely different kid from the one you picked up that same afternoon. And when that gap keeps showing up, when what you see at home doesn't match what you're hearing from everyone else, you start to wonder if maybe your version is the one that's off. It isn't. A lot of kids with ADHD work incredibly hard to keep it together in structured places, and then they let it all go the moment they feel safe enough to stop holding on. What you see at home is real. It's part of your child's full picture, and the people in that room need it. Now let me talk about something I call the expert trap, because I think it's worth being honest about. When you spend all your time before a meeting trying to learn terms and read research, something can go sideways. You walk in carrying a lot of general information about ADHD, about kids with ADHD in general, and you bring it into a conversation that's supposed to be about your specific child. And then someone in the room says something that doesn't match what you read, and suddenly you feel stuck. Do you push back? Do you just go along with it? You end up spending energy on that tension when your energy belongs somewhere else. Learning more about ADHD over time is genuinely helpful. It will help you ask better questions as you go. But in this meeting today, what your child needs from you is your honest account of what their daily life actually looks like. That doesn't need a degree. It needs your attention and your willingness to say what you've seen. Let me show you what that actually sounds like, because I think we sometimes don't realize how much our everyday words carry. You might say, "She knows the work. I can see that when we go over it together." But when she sits down and looks at the page on her own, something stops her before she even starts. It's not that she doesn't know the answer. Getting started is the actual problem. That one sentence tells a specialist something specific and useful. You didn't need a clinical term to say it. The words themselves do the work. Or you might say, after a hard day, my son needs about 45 minutes where nobody asks anything of him. If I try to talk to him in that window, even just to ask how school was, things fall apart. But if I leave him alone for a bit, he comes back. A therapist or a teacher can actually use that information. It might change how they think about his day, his schedule, what they ask of him, and when. You learned that by paying attention over months. No appointment gives them that. Or maybe when she says, "I don't know," it usually means she's not sure what kind of answer you're looking for. Not that she actually doesn't know. That one detail can completely change how a teacher reads your child. What looks like your child shutting down might actually be your child trying to figure out what's expected. Those are two very different things, and the way someone responds to them should be very different too. None of that required you to be an expert. Every single one of those things came from a mom watching her child closely and being willing to say what she saw. Here's something I want you to carry with you into every meeting you walk into. You are the expert on one thing, your child's everyday life. Everyone else at that table brings knowledge from their area. The school knows curriculum and classroom. The therapist knows behavior and feelings. The doctor knows health and development. Your area is everything in between. The mornings, the car rides, the homework, the bedtime, the Sunday afternoons, the ordinary Tuesdays when nothing special is happening and your child is just being themselves. You walk into that room to bring what nobody else can bring. Your job isn't to prove you know what they know. Your job is to show up with your piece of the picture and put it on the table. That's it. That's the whole job. So as you get ready for any upcoming meeting, here are 3 simple things to bring with you. Pick one specific thing that happened recently that stayed in your head. Write down what was going on, what your child did, and what you noticed. Keep it simple. Your own words are enough. 2, one question you actually want answered. Not the most impressive question, the one that's been sitting in the back of your mind, the one that comes back to you at night. That's the question worth asking. 3, permission to say out loud when something doesn't make sense to you. When someone uses a word or phrase you don't know, ask them what it looks like on a regular day in your child's life. That one question pulls the whole conversation back to something real. Those 3 things don't take hours to prepare. They take honesty. And they are genuinely what the room needs most from you. Your child doesn't need you to walk in with a folder full of research and a list of clinical terms. Your child needs you to show up, say what you've seen, and stay in that room until something real gets understood. That's what showing up for your kid actually looks like. And you are already closer to ready than you think. If this episode gave you a little breathing room or helped you feel less alone today, you can find more support from me on Substack, YouTube, and Mom Parent ADHD. Remember, advocacy begins before you ever sit down at the table. It starts when you notice homework is taking too long, when your child comes home emotionally drained, when the same struggle keeps showing up and you begin to think, something about this does not fit. So keep showing up in those rooms for your child. Before we close, a quick but important note. I am not a doctor, therapist, or medical professional, and nothing you hear is medical, mental health, educational, or legal advice. Everything I share comes from my personal experience as a mom raising a child with ADHD. If your child's behavior is unsafe, severe, or becoming difficult for your family to manage, please connect with a qualified professional who can consider your family's full situation. Until next time, remember that your child doesn't need you to walk into every meeting with the perfect words or the right answer ready. They need you to keep showing up, keep paying attention, and keep bringing what only you can bring. That's the kind of advocate they actually need. Give yourself grace, breathe deep, and keep showing up in the storm. You're doing better than you think.